So it's the day after the Super Bowl. Not sure what to think about that game. I honestly expected a high-scoring game. I knew defensively that they would be okay, but I thought, with the great minds on both sides, I thought that it would be very different than it was. Kind of disappointed in the Chiefs. I don't know what the hell was going on there. Patrick Mahomes didn't look great. What did you throw Kelsey the ball like 3 times the entire game? With all the speculation of what the hell's going to happen with him in the offseason, really surprised that they didn't use him more since he was kind of the go-to figure in previous Super Bowls. So really confused by that. I thought that Kansas City did a great job with containing arguably one of the best running backs in the league, if not the best. And I hate even fucking saying that because I'm a Giant fan. And he made us look like fools this year for giving him up. But, good for him. Everybody deserves a ring, I think. Guys like him deserve a ring. Guys that come in, they work their asses off. The man's a fucking phenom. Part of me expected the second half of that game to be all Chiefs. All Chiefs. Like, they got completely dominated in the first half. Expected the fixing to take place in the second half, but that didn't happen. So, and of course, the Philly fans did what the Philly fans do, which is destroy their city after they celebrate big wins, which I don't understand that either. What the hell's the point of that? You're supposed to be celebrating, and instead you're borderline rioting in the city you live in. It's like, I don't know, shitting and pissing all over the inside of your house after you, I don't know. Fucking stupid. Just really dumb. Besides that, the halftime show, I was actually kind of excited to see Kendrick, but I just thought it was, he didn't play any of his classics. It seemed like every aspect of the halftime show was a continuation of the nonsense with Drake. Disappointed is a good word for it. And I watched everything from probably about 5 o'clock till the end. And some other things that I thought were fucking stupid and weird about the Super Bowl is no wonder why it's like $20,000 for a fucking seat, because they have all this bullshit before the game, like get somebody in, sing the national anthem, do away with all the other bullshit, do away with all the fucking guest appearances and all this other nonsense. Like, who's the Super Bowl for? Is it for the fans? Is it for the league? Is it for the game? What is it all about? It's disheartening that as your average citizen, right, a middle class family, jerseys are a couple $100. You go to the game, you're going to pay $12, $15, maybe even $20 for a beer. It's so far out of reach for your average person. And the Super Bowl has almost turned into, I don't want to say a political platform, because I don't think that's the right term. I just think it's a celebration of the fucking wealthy and who owes who to go to these games. Like, I don't need a celebrity pan of all the fucking rich motherfuckers that are there sitting in their boxes watching a game that the average fan can't afford to go to. It almost feels like a kick in the nuts. Something's got to change there. And honestly, there's some speculation as to why that Luka AD trade happened. And I heard some chatter that it had to do with trying to get those max contracts and max extensions, super max extensions out of the league. And don't get me wrong, I think athletes deserve to get paid. It's a select few that get to play on the professional level. Doesn't matter what sport it is. There are a select few that are great at their respective sports. What is ridiculous is that in a world where everybody gets up and goes to work, everybody has most people have a job, and the way that you get a raise is not by negotiating at a table, because for most of us, when you get your review or whatever, there's no negotiating at a table on a pay raise. They just tell you what your pay raise is, and you could try to negotiate, but chances are your pay raise is going to be barely enough to cover the cost of living. Professional athletes, they get these contracts now that are for ridiculous amounts of money, guaranteed, and half of them, maybe half might be too much, but there's a percentage of them, like Joel Embiid, who's never on the fucking court collecting money. The other part of it too is that it's not even the dollar amount of these contracts that bother me, it's the fact that there's a large chunk of it guaranteed. So, and there's bonuses and stuff within, but the rest of us, our reviews and what we get paid is all performance driven. So why not have their contracts performance driven? Make it for a big money, but like as a starter, you should play, barring any major injury, 85% of those games you should start. No questions asked. You're getting paid the big money to draw fans in, to play your sport on the highest level, to help your team win a championship. And if you're not on the field, the court, the ice, whatever your respective sport is, how are you earning your money? You know, like your sponsorships and all the extra stuff from, you know, like Gatorade or Nike or whoever, all your endorsement contracts are on top of your salary. And in order to be the face of them, you need to be in the face of the public, which means you need to be out playing your respective sport. I think that as these contracts get written up going forward, that they need to be more structured. You have to hit these keynotes, otherwise your base salary is this. But get them to where they need to be. You know, like, let's take, Saquon, for instance, right? So his best couple of years with New York were just over 1,300 yards. This year, he's well over 2,000, which is incredible because he nearly, if he was a greedy fuck like LeBron, he would have easily doubled what he had done as his best previous year. And that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, you're looking at like around 2,600 yards. The man did over 2,000 and he sat. He could have easily gotten yards yesterday. He could have broken that record or whatever. He chooses to sit because of his thought process for the team. So make him incentive laden, right? As a running back, again, Saquon is your example. Tell him he's got to average 2.5 yards a carry. Tell him he needs to get, you can't say touches, because he's not part of the decision making as to whether or not he gets the ball. But what he does when he gets it is where he can make his money. You know, you got to play, like I said, 85% of the season. barring injury. Injury would be the only exception as to why you would get paid for those games. So many touches or so many yards per carry. Then you start hammering all the other stuff, like if you score X amount of touchdowns this year, there's a bonus. If you get so many receiving yards this year, there's a bonus. You know, so many receptions this year, you get a bonus. That's how these contracts need to be written. That would bring the cost of everything else down. Because making the playoffs is part of your bonus when you're already making, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 plus $1 million a year. Do they really care? You know, like, it's a shame. It is. And there are some professional areas that have brought like hot dogs and some other stuff back down to a reasonable level. But like, let me put this into perspective. My son and I, we went to the Rangers affiliate here in Connecticut, the Hartford Wolfpack. I got one 16-ounce beer and a soda, $20. Are you fucking kidding me? $20 for one can 16-ounce beer and a soda. The same beer that if I went to the store, I wouldn't even pay $20 for a 4-pack of. How does that even fucking make sense? I understand there needs to be an upcharge because you're paying other people and there's a lot of moving parts around it. But you're literally going to charge me what a 4-pack is for one beer? Come on, man. Maybe that's something that needs to be regulated. I mean, you don't hear about this nonsense in NASCAR. I don't know. I've never gone to NASCAR. I don't watch NASCAR. I'm not saying it's not a sport. It's just not my thing. But how does that, like, where does that equate? Seems like a lot of people in the middle class are huge NASCAR fans, and they don't have a problem getting the jackets and T-shirts and all of the collectibles and all this other stuff. Like, they live, breathe, and die that stuff. So why is it that all the other professional sports are so fucking out of line? Is it because NASCAR is owned by one family and they say what goes? And if you don't like it, you can get the fuck out? It could be. I don't know. It's almost like all these owners from all the other professional sports, they all get together and they all make a decision on who do we want to be our puppet, and how are we going to make the most money? And I know that owning a professional sports team can be very lucrative, but how do you make your money when you alienate half your fan base? It kind of reminds me of how my previous employer goes to market, right? So when I first worked for them, they were a low-high operator. That means prices were low, sales were low, with the intent of moving a lot of product to make up your gross profit in smaller increments. By the time I left, they were a high-low operator. That being the direct opposite. So the prices are higher, they're making more money by moving less product. Now, the difference between those two methods of going to business is your overhead. So as a low-high operator, a low-price, high-volume operator, you need to have a lot of personnel in order to maintain your business. As a high-low operator, you actually need less staff because you're not moving as many things, but you're making the same amount of money on it. I look at it one of two ways. A low or high operator means you're paying a lot of people, which is good because employment goes up. There's more people around to help your customers, which is good because people like having somebody to ask questions to. People get frustrated when they walk around and they can't find somebody to help them, which is a common problem today in retail stores. But I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if that's the fact that a lot of people do a lot of shopping online. Some people like me, I don't really want to be fucking bothered when I'm shopping. I just want to be left alone. Just let me do what I got to do, and if I need your help, I'll come find you. But I think my previous company was a much better operated business when we had plenty of staff. Yes, you were busy and you had to work your ass off every single day, but I'd rather work my ass off moving a lot of product than work my ass off because I'm short-staffed. Because the only thing that changes in that equation is how they go to business. All the other moving parts and expectations that surround that being cleaning, organizing, all of that stuff. All your bullshit paperwork, all that stuff still has to happen. But you have less bodies to navigate everything else. With that said, when you think about the two comparisons, right? And you think about these professional sports teams, tickets used to be, they were moderate. Like a good seat at Madison Square Garden for a Ranger game, center ice, was like $150. Now it's $300. It might even be more than that. Might be $400. I don't know. I refuse to pay those prices. As much as I'd love to go see the Rangers live again, I'm not paying those fucking prices. You're looking at $100 round trip to get back and forth on the train. You're looking at you're already into it for $1,000 and you haven't fucking eaten or done anything else yet. So I'm out. I'm not doing that. It's almost like they don't want us to go to the games. They want to have those seats for all of their partners to be able to go and watch these things without the peasants around them to ruin their experience. That's kind of how it feels. I'm not saying that that's accurate, but it makes you wonder, how are these people filling stadiums all the time? And when you look at tickets for like the Super Bowl or World Series or any of those things, there's not a lot of tickets available. And most of the time it's because the corporations have already bought up the stuff. So where does the fan base come into play on all that? How does the core group of people that supported your team and paid all of your revenue all season long, and then it gets to the time that they've been waiting for and hanging their hats on all season, and then they can't afford to go? There's not even a bunch of contests and sweepstakes and whatever else for your average fan to be able to win tickets to go. And then I'd be surprised if they could even get a hotel. Something's really got to change when it comes to all that stuff. It makes it really, really hard to like professional sports. And now with these college kids making money while they're in school, which I think is good because some of the premier athletes in college sports, they weren't able to make revenue on their jersey sales or any of these other things. The school was taking all the money. And I'm all for it. But at the same time, these kids, they're getting their money up front. And what I think should honestly happen is the school should set up accounts for them. All of their revenue, give them stipends so that they can live on campus, because I know they're already there on scholarships, but to be able to afford all the other stuff like food and clothes and just the normal life of a college student can be on the expensive side. So maybe give them either so much weekly or so much monthly, but hand them a check when they get out. And I think that's how that should be handled. When you finish 4 years of your education, you get the check of everything else. You already got a free education. If you choose to get out of your respective sport early to go play professional, that's fine. But if you want all the money you made while you were in college that you didn't get broken down to you throughout the semesters, you got to finish your 4 years of an education. And I think you would find the level of professionalism, the way that these guys carry themselves in public, I think you'd see a lot less of that Ja Morant nonsense with the gun and all the misbehaviors. You would see people that are, I hate even saying this, but people that are a little bit more polished. In that aspect, I mean, it's not just about the money. You're in the face of the public. You have kids looking up to you. You didn't ask to be a role model, but it's part of what comes along with what you're doing. So keep your shit together. Learn how to be a professional. Buy all your things, but don't get involved in all the bullshit. You know, like if you're on camera and you're all over the news for something, let it be because you're helping others. Let it be because you're showing up at a camp for your sport to help the kids. Let it be because you're at the children's hospital dropping off gifts. Let it be because you're taking a less fortunate family or a Make-A-Wish family, you know, out shopping or on vacation or something. Let it be for that. Don't let it be because you're trying to be some, I don't know, you're trying to be some kind of a thug in a club with a gun and whatever else. Like, come on, man. There's no need for that at that level. You're supposed to be a professional. You can't throw your life away. For what? You know, like, there have been other professional athletes that have done stupid shit that got them in trouble. Like, not supposed to be riding sport bikes and all this other stuff. I'd rather see that. Not that I am saying that, like, you should be doing those things. You should probably not breach your contract ever. But I'd rather see them breach their contract living their life that way than getting in trouble for flashing a gun or getting arrested for DUI or domestic violence or possession of narcotics. Come on, guys. What's crazy is you almost never see any of this stuff in professional women's sports. Makes you think, right? Maybe they learned a little bit about being a professional and keeping the things that you want to do in your personal life private and out of the peering eyes of the public. Something to think about. So, as I'm finishing up my day after the Super Bowl I just want to thank you guys for following. Life is good. Stay driven. Love the life you have. Love the person that stands by your side and supports your growth. Be smart. Don't be scared to make a change. Life is so much better when you challenge yourself. This right now is a good example. I'm fucking tired. I didn't want to get up this morning and do this, but I'm doing it because it makes me feel better at the end. Will I be tired? Yes, but it fixes a whole bunch of other things. It's all about the mindset. It's all about the mindset. Just be strong, be motivated, want more for yourself. And as always, follow the Brewed for Life podcast.